with your charcoals, it's a really good sketching medium. You usually got two. So you've got a willow or vine charcoal, and that is literally burnt stick. And then you've also got the compressed charcoal. So that's where it's actually been manufactured. It's had human intervention, let's say. So the willow charcoal is probably the most popular, and this is really good just to lay down a grounding. It gives you like a greyed dark. So that's kind of as dark as what you can get, what you can see there. Whereas the compressed charcoal, it doesn't give you the smooth grayness, but it really comes up quite black. And you can get really, really quite dark with the black of the compressed. So neither one is going to be better than the other. They both work really well together. So you can really see the difference when you've got the willow charcoal and the compressed next to each other. You can see how much darker the compressed gets and the grayness that you get. So for blending, a blending stick, which is literally just rolled paper, is really nice to use as a blending tool. Better than your finger, but you have got your little phalanges there that you come with, and you can blend with those. I tend to not do it as much. It can be a little bit messier. You're also picking up a lot of the charcoal as you're using your finger, and then you probably end up getting it around your paper, which may not be what you want. The blending of the willow charcoal is a lot easier than the compressed charcoal. And this is our favorite tool, kneadable rubber. So you're really going to want a kneadable rubber because it's a great way to lift. Like you literally are lifting off some of that willow charcoal. Doesn't do it as obvious in your compressed charcoal, just because compressed charcoal is really quite deep and dark and it really sits onto that paper. Willow charcoal kind of sits on top. But for the compressed charcoal, if you want to take off more marks, get like a firm rubber. It doesn't need to be one of those black ones, but just a firmer rubber, not that kneadable rubber. So I'm just going to give you this quick demonstration. Geez, I can draw really, really fast. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize I must have had a Red Bull that morning. So just sketching in. When I'm working with the charcoals, and it's different to the oils, I'm working lights to dark. So it's kind of really important. For my really highlighted areas, I want to preserve the white paper for that. So as you can see, I am going around those areas that I know I want to be keeping white. And I am just making, this is with willow charcoal, by the way. So I'm just using the willow charcoal to do this blocking in stage. Just trying to get some of the main shapes and the main mid to light tones around. I'm not really locking in any of the actual design. I'm not locking in the details. I'm looking broader, but because some of those highlights, as you can see, like down from that ridge of the nose, I am trying to preserve that, and it's kind of this nice little thin slither of highlight. So I am working a bit slower and a little bit more considerate of the details in that area, because if I covered all over that sort of forehead hair light, as well as the actual bridge of the nose, those two lights that I've kept, if I'm working over them, it's kind of a bit harder to take it off back to white paper. So I am just reassessing where my shapes are compared to those big light shapes, and then working around them bit by bit. So I am still just working with the willow charcoal. So I'm using the side of the willow charcoal as well as the tip. So don't just think you've got to use it like the end of a pencil or a paintbrush and just use the tip. You can use the side, and that was helping me get kind of a bit of directional fluid marks with the actual side of the willow charcoal. And then the tip to the side also allows me to get some of those more refined details. It doesn't have the precision that you would get with a pencil or a pen, but that is also something that you want to work with that. You want to play with that. Don't fight against that. These little accidental marks, which you will get a lot with charcoal, they're artistic, they're lovely. So you know, definitely embrace those. Don't be scared of those. And where I see in my images and my designs a good opportunity to throw in a good dark block, like the one that's coming down off the cheek, that's good to help me see that negative space. It helps my perspective, my proportion understanding. So, but as you can sort of see that when I'm coming around to areas of the image, such as eyes and nose, that do require a little bit more delicacy, I am slowing down as well, and I'm using more of the tip of the charcoal. So all of this so far is being done with the willow charcoal. I'm only hinting at the location of things. I don't want to lock myself in, partly because I really don't like rubbing out and rubbing back and blending. I really like the rawness of using the charcoal. So, I mean, yeah, I'll pick up the kneadable rubber quite often. And when you're using the kneadable rubber, it's really good to understand that you need to keep folding and moving and bending. You need to have like a cleaner spot. So it picks up, as you're dabbing, it picks up a lot of the charcoal. So once that surface is covered, it's full and you can't do much more about it. So you need to then fold it and move it that way. And then you've got a cleaner area of your kneadable rubber, and that's going to pick up more of that charcoal that you want. And the joy is you can thin it right down. So this little gap between the eyelid and the eyebrow, I'm just actually lifting it off. Like I'm not rubbing it. I'm actually pressing and lifting and pressing and lifting and pressing and lifting. So you can see that it's picking up the charcoal on this thin little area. Then I've got to fold my rubber over again, get a cleaner spot, and that allows me to pick up more. So the kneadable rubber is really such a beautiful tool. Don't think of it as something that you take away mistakes, not at all. Use it as one of your drawing tools. Same with your smudging stick as well. Use it as part of your drawing arsenal. Have it in there to get some subtle blending done. Keep your fingers away as much as you can. Just, once again, like I said, you don't want to be getting everything over your hands because it will get all over your paper as well. You know, that old trick of getting charcoal and paint and pencil down your hand and then you place it on your paper. So you don't want that, or you'd like to avoid that anyway to start with. So in this stage of the portrait, I am literally pushing and pulling. I'm taking some off, I'm putting some back down, and I'm comparing my tones as I'm going as well, knowing that I've got some light areas and knowing that I've got a lot of extra darks that need to go in, but I'm waiting till later for the compressed charcoal to do that. I'm thinking about my shapes, and I still want to keep a drawing quality to the picture as well. I mean, this whole area is just a sketch. This would be like what I would consider a pre-painting sketch. I want to get familiar with my subject as well, where everything lines up on their head. So as you can see, I've already put like quite a good mid-tone layer down near where the ear would be, and I'm using the kneadable rubber just to lift off. So it's kind of like the subtraction of, and that helps me bring out the lights of the ear. I've already got the mid-tones down, and then I've picked up the compressed charcoal and I'm just putting some of those slightly darker areas in. I'm not overstating this at all. We're humans, we can see an indication of an ear and we know what an ear looks like. So don't overstate everything. I'm just keeping it quite sketchy. I'm not smoothing out everything. I'm not refining everything, but I'm really utilizing all my tools. The willow charcoal, the kneadable rubber, the scrubbing stick, as well as the compressed. And you'll see more compressed charcoal use in just a moment. So I had realized as I'm working through some of my shapes and I'm refining some of those tones that the eye in the far side had been a little bit too high. So I luckily had just used the willow charcoal, and it means between my smudging stick and my kneadable rubber, I can actually just push and pull, take some from the top, add some from the bottom, and I can refine and just drop that eye that little bit because the head is tilted. So the head's got a subtle tilt, and you can sort of see that that's mimicked in the nose and in the mouth and in the jaw. So we tend to have this line. So when we're actually tilted, everything tilts with it. The eyes on their own don't tilt. Everything else has to kind of follow. So I made that subtle adjustment, and now I'm getting my thumbs into it because, you know, you're allowed to get a bit of fun and play. I kind of like that stroke. That stroke made me smile. It was fun. It was fun. And doing some cleanups around that far side of the face, because that's got those real lights. So where I initially kept the white of the paper for the highlights, there's a lot of mid to dark tones in those areas, but it's really quite a small space to work in. So, and I'm not getting really tight nitty gritty. I haven't got charcoal pencils that I'm sharpening to get fine detail. You can, it's still charcoal, it's just in a pencil form. But for sketches, and even just to become familiar with the medium, use it in its natural state, which is in the stick form as well. So the willow charcoal as well as the compressed charcoal sticks. Try not to start exploring charcoal with the pencils because you're going to use them like a pen or a pencil. And we are taught early to be really quite restrictive with those. We control them. We learn how to control with cursive writing. So play with charcoal, but use the sticks to start with. It will see your art free up as well. So at the moment, I'm just still pushing the details as well as the tonal variation, lifting off as I'm going, and subtle blending. I'm not going to do a lot of blending with this. As I said, this is going to be this is a sketch for a future painting, and something for you to actually have a look at, just to learn to play with charcoal as well. I know that some people get scared a bit with the charcoal, but really it's kind of just a lot of messy fun. So I've now brought in the compressed charcoal and I'm been assessing the tones and the shape of the nose, the darks within the eyes as well. So something to be aware of when you are using the compressed charcoal is, although it comes in a square block to start with, the moment you start using that, you are going to lose the real sharper point of those blocks. So where you might want a little bit of extra precise detail, just be careful because it may not actually leave a mark where you intend for it to go. Because you've lost the actual sharp point, it may actually make a mark off to the side. So with this portrait, you can see now with the compressed charcoal in hand, the tones that I'm getting are a lot darker, and I'm kind of trying to frame the face that little bit more. So just testing where I'm going to put some darks in the background, maybe some darks in her clothes as well. I'm bringing back the willow charcoal. So a majority, about 80%, 90% of the piece is with willow charcoal. Getting some little eyebrow highlights there as well. I mean, the stage it's at, it is to a point where I'm getting such a clear understanding of where her tones and her shapes are that I could paint quite easily from that. So I thought at the end I'd show you and have a bit of fun, and I'd get my lovely little phalanges into the portrait and just smooth everything out. Look, I really hope that this has helped you gain some confidence and a bit of knowledge with using charcoal. If there's something else that you would like me to talk about, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and that way you'll know anything new that I've put up as well. Otherwise, happy arting, people.